following is a presentation of HBO Sports.
Andre Berto has everything you'd hope to see in a young prize fighter. Quickness.
That special kind of hand speed.
Power. And the fighter's mentality.
That was some spectacular stuff from Berto.
All necessary for a January matchup against future Hall of Famer Sugar Shane Mosley. But the biggest opportunity of Berto's career fell by the wayside when Haiti, the nation of his ancestry, was hit with a devastating earthquake.
I believe I lost up to 8 family members over in Haiti, and I said it hit home. It definitely, hit home.
Withdrawing from the bout and assisting in disaster relief just days after the quake has led Berto to even more closely embrace his Haitian identity.
That's one thing with the Haitian people. They're still extremely strong, man. And in times like this, a tragedy, they try to make something out of nothing.
Now he resumes his career, not against Mosley, but against veteran Carlos Quintana, a slick southpaw who's gone up against the sport's elite.
And Carlos Quintana takes Paul Williams' welterweight title back to Puerto Rico.
Tonight, for Andre Berto, a twofold mission. Score an impressive win to vault him up the boxing ladder. At the same time, continue to bring attention to the island nation's plight. Andre Berto versus Carlos Quintana on World Championship Boxing next. World Championship Boxing is back, live from the Bank Atlantic Center in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. In our main event, welterweight title holder Andre Berto, in his first fight since the personal tragedy touched him via the earthquake in Haiti, faces Carlos Quintana. But before that, we'll see featherweights as former 122-pound champion Celestino Cabellero takes on Indonesian Daud Yordan. Hello again, everybody. I'm Jim Lampley. We welcome you to this special HBO World Championship Boxing doubleheader, on which, in the main event, as we told you, Andre Berto will be fighting to raise money for victims of the earthquake in Haiti, to honor those victims, and also to try to advance his star profile career against a good fighter in Carlos Quintana. But before that, an interesting visit to the featherweight division, where a two-time belt winner in the 122-pound weight class, Celestino Cabellero of Panama, is moving up to seek bigger fights for bigger money in a division now crowded with talent. His opponent, a young prospect from Indonesia named Daud Yordan, has only a couple of previous appearances in the United States. In the last one, he went 4 minutes in the ring against a good California fighter, Roberto Guerrero, before a disqualification gave a technical draw to both fighters in the fight. Now Yordan wants to prove he's really good against Cabellero. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape for these two fighters, and you will instantly see that Cabellero is an unusual physical specimen, 33 years old and giving away 11 years in age, but 5 feet 11 inches tall. That was unusual for the 122-pound weight class and remains unusual here at 126. He's also got a 2-inch arm length advantage measured from the armpit to the end of the fist. They both weighed in under the featherweight limit, and tonight Cabellero has rehydrated up to 137, Yordan to 135. Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Celestino Cabellero Daud Yordan fight is scheduled for 12 rounds using the unified rules that you see on your screen. Jim, real quick, the 4 criteria that the judges will use to score each individual round: clean punching, effective aggressiveness, ring generalship, and defense, with a strong emphasis on clean, effective punching. Jim.
Harold and I'll be joined momentarily at ringside by Larry Merchant and Emmanuel Stewart. Let's go up to Michael Buffer for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please, at this time. I'd like everyone to please remain silent. Earlier this week, the world of boxing lost one of its beloved members, who was a driving force alongside her husband, Don, behind the scenes for over half a century as a promoter. She'll always have a place in our hearts and a future place in the Boxing Hall of Fame, Lorraine Shargan. And then, just this morning, we found out that a Hall of Fame icon passed away. A man who will be remembered as perhaps the greatest referee in boxing history. His career touched 6 decades, the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and into the 21st century. Arthur Mercanti. At this time, we would like everyone to please remain silent as we toll a memorial 10 count. Rest in peace. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get this party started from the Bank Atlantic Center, Sunrise, Florida. DeBella Entertainment is proud to present Fighting for Haiti, sponsored by Champ Sports, where sport lives, and PSI Packaging Solutions and Investments, Life Fitness and Hammer Strength. It's what we live for, along with Daniel Boone, Log Homes, American-made, honest value. All bouts sanctioned by the Florida State Boxing Commission. This first bout is presented in association with Sampson Boxing Promotions. At ringside, the 3 judges scoring this contest: Thomas Nardone, Jed O'Connor, and Rocky Young. And the man in charge of the action inside the ring, at the bell, referee Telis Asimeños. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 12 rounds of boxing. This is in the featherweight division. Fighting out of the blue corner, wearing white with red and blue, official weight 125 1/2 pounds. A perfect professional record consisting of 17 fights, 17 victories, including 12 knockouts, from Kalimantan, Indonesia, the undefeated Daud Cino Yordan. And fighting out of the red corner, wearing blue with red and white, officially weighing in at 125 3/4 pounds. His professional record, 33 victories, including 23 knockouts, only 2 defeats. De Colón, Panama. Ladies and gentlemen, Celestino, Cabellero.
One second. Gentlemen, you have received instructions in the dressing room. Obey my commands at all times. Protect yourselves at all times. Shake hands. Good luck. God bless.
Cabellero is considered by many observers to be the best fighter out of Panama since the great Roberto Duran, and before him the sensational Ismael Laguna. He likes to be compared to Laguna. Let's hope so.
Round 1 begins, and the height differential immediately visible in the ring. You can just imagine how some 122-pound opponents must have looked against Caballero.
Yeah, very tall, man. Looked like he's about 6 feet tall. Especially when you consider him being still just, even as a featherweight, and consider that most of his career he fought as a smaller man, fight at 122 pounds compared to 126.
Both conventional fighters, as you see. Caballero has been known in some fights to walk opponents down, has been known in some other fights to box and move, can fight in different styles.
Most of the general boxing people that I've talked to pretty much doesn't give Yordan much of a chance, but I feel a little different. Even though Yordan has not had many fights on a big level, he comes from a good boxing family. All of his brothers are boxers, so he's been raised up all of his life with the best sparring and has a boxing mind.
Referee Celestino correctly ruling that that was a slip, push down, not anything close to a knockdown.
And besides that, the top featherweight in the world is Chris John, also from Indonesia.
What I do like about Cabellero, he maintains the best he can his distance. He jabs, he does a lot of, I call whacking punches, but maintains the distance and seems to like to control the pace.
Cabellero extremely relaxed in there. Sometimes looks more like he's dancing than fighting. He began boxing literally as a starving teenager when he discovered one day that his family had absolutely nothing in the house to eat. He had heard a rumor that men were being paid $5 to fight at an arena next door, went next door, put himself into consideration, wound up earning $5 and bought food for his family that day. Has been a fighter ever since.
And I think he said that that was when he was 17 years old. And he began his singing career when he was 10 years old.
He regards himself as a singer first and fighter second.
He's also, incidentally, a Muslim by choice. Fascinating because, of course, Panama is almost entirely Roman Catholic.
Very busy fighter. He really sets and controls the tempo. And it's interesting, he fights mainly with most of his weight on his left leg feet. He doesn't use his weight on his right leg as much.
And he is hammering Yordan with body shots in round one. He has landed quite a number of good punches with both the left and right hand to the rib cage of Yordan, and now Yordan comes back with a good left hook to the body himself.
Okay, gone.
Tarik napas.
Take a deep breath. Calm down.
Dia ditarik aja.
Just pull it.
Tarik napas. Tenang.
Okay, pull it. Calm down. Relax. Inhale.
Jari memang udah panci rapat, tapi kau intimidasi.
Good job.
Seconds out.
Let's go.
CompuBox numbers show that round one was all Cabellero. He landed 32 of 111 punches through 77 jabs, but it wasn't the jabs that did the damage. It was the significant number of body shots, 14 of them, which Cabellero landed on the ribcage of Yordan.
I don't know how good he was before this fight, but this is his first fight with a Mayweather in his corner. Jeff Mayweather, the lesser known of the brothers Mayweather, is trained him for this fight for the first time. He went from Panama to Las Vegas to be with Mayweather.
And it was a little bit of a consolation prize for him. The original intention a few years ago was to hire Floyd Mayweather Sr. And he had that discussion, but decided that Mayweather Sr. was simply too busy with too many fighters, and then turned his attention to Jeff.
It's interesting. Cabellero is a very, very busy fighter. He's very relaxed, seems to have very good focus and concentration, but extremely busy. And when you get too close to him, he has this way of smothering you with his left shoulder where you can't do too much damage to him.
Interesting that he is making this move into the featherweight division at this time. It's becoming a loaded division. Two young stars, Juan Manuel Lopez and Yuriorkis Gamboa, from Puerto Rico and Cuba, respectively, both unbeaten, have both moved into the division. Both of them are harder punchers than Cabellero.
But Cabellero is a very busy fighter. He jabs enough to make you take your hands up. He doesn't really have much authority on a jab, and then he whacks you with the right hand after he makes you take your elbow up.
And if he sees an opportunity to go to the body, he loads that punch up.
Yes, he does. He changes up his tempo and his power. But very, very relaxed and very, very focused and concentrates very good.
Yordan got swamped by activity in the first round. He's hunting and pecking, trying to find a way to get something in between the constant flow of punches by Cabellero.
Don't punch!
Right hand shot to the body thrown with great authority by Cabellero. Yordan forced to defend himself almost all the time, unable to find ways to counter. There's a good left hook by Yordan. Best punch of the fight in the first 2 rounds by the Indonesian fighter.
Yordan is clearly just counting on power to neutralize the busyness.
That's right. That was the count.
Misses a long right hand, gets countered perfectly by an uppercut right onto his seat. I mean, that was textbook by Cabellero.
I was just about to say that.
Hey, come here.
He was throwing the right hand, and he was seeing rolling his shoulder, and he came back with a rolling counter uppercut.
Brilliant.
And the frustration of getting hit so much, he got over eager and left himself open.
Absolutely.
Too much water, you're gonna get caught. You gotta get this water picked up. Okay.
Here's another look at the knockdown, Emmanuel.
Here you see him shoot the right hand. He rolled, he came right back with a counter right uppercut.
Cabellero never even blinked. Had his eyes on the target the whole time.
All the time. Unbelievable eye focus. I've been noticing that throughout the entire fight. Never loses contact with his man with his eyes.
That was quite remarkable. CompuBox numbers in round 2. Cabellero 31 out of 109. Yordan 9 out of 31. In other words, Cabellero landed as many punches as Yordan threw. And Cabellero stepping up the power in the second round. 23 out of 47 power shots. He's been excellent in rounds 1 and 2.
I wonder if at the age of 33 he can sustain this kind of activity.
Well, that's a good point, right? He's a very busy fighter. A lot of guys, as they get older, they become more on the defense. But he's an extremely pace-setting type fighter. His jab is not a hard jab, as I said earlier, but it's a probing jab that keeps you busy.
He tried to duck back from a Yordan right hand along the ropes. That wasn't a good idea, as Yordan was able to find him. Now the left hook lands for the Indonesian fighter. And Cabellero hasn't really gotten his offense started here in the third round.
No, Yordan is starting to close the pressure on him a little bit more. And he realizes that he can't set back at a distance, just block, and punch. So he's just becoming much more aggressive now.
And by the way, just to be sure that you understand Harold Letterman's scoring for the first 2 rounds, he did score the second round, 10-8 for Cabellero. Obviously the logical score after the knockdown at the end of the round. Now Caballero's back to his body punching and the fluid jab that just keeps coming.
Well, Yordan came out at the beginning of the round because he'd gotten orders to be much more aggressive, but slowly Cabellero has slowed him back down and got him right back to at the pace and the distance that he wants him to fight at now.
Imagine being Jeff Mayweather, looking for a hallmark fighter, and having this guy basically walk into your life.
Very, very good. But Jeff is a very good trainer himself.
Excellent.
In addition to being a nice person.
You wonder if against quick counter punchers, would Cabellero have a chance to load up on these body punches the way he does?
Yeah, it's still a few questions I have about him, but right now he's fighting a perfect fight for his physical structure. Very, very busy. And loads up, then relaxes, then he loads up and relaxes.
He is hammering the left side of Yordan's ribcage with the right hand. And of course, if Yordan tries to get away from that, he runs the risk of putting the right side of his body in danger, and that's even worse because of the presence of the liver on the right side of your body. If you're absolutely going to have to take a body shot, you'd rather take it on the right side.
Yes. You know, and then he changes up. He'll start throwing short punches up inside, too, for a tall guy.
Good left hook by Yordan. Cabellero comes right back with 2 body shots. Another pair of body shots by the Panamanian fighter.
Punch out, don't hold. Don't hold.
At 33, Cabellero is hardly a prospect. But if he's trying to break into the featherweight division, he's given 3 rounds of pure professionalism and activity, and he belongs so far.
While you enjoy the action, you can also log on to hbo.com/boxing and check out our live Punch Zone site. This is new. You'll be able to see and keep track of the Punch Zone stats as they occur during the course of both fights tonight. And instantly you say to yourself, is there an iPhone app coming for this? Yes, there is an iPhone app already in the works for our Punch Zone stats.
When he hits you, you attack. But bring your defense up. Bring your hands up, please. Breathe now. That's it. Breathe. The uppercut is there for that. It's a little red. There's nothing there.
Cabellero claims a hit song in Panama called "She Wants a Spanking."
Yes.
And that's how he's treating Yordan.
Giving him a spanking.
You know, we mentioned earlier that Jeff Mayweather was the trainer for Cabellero, but also the trainer for Yordan is his brother, who was a former boxer and who often he spares, was Damianos Yordan.
Damianos Yordan, yeah.
Yes, and it's amazing. He says he's caught between 3 of those brothers, all professional fighters.
Big age range there. Damianos is 41. Yordan's father was quite old at the moment he was born. A rubber tree farming. Harold, how do you have it 3 rounds?
Okay, Jim. 3-0, 30-26. Celestino Cabellero. I got to tell you, Jim, those body shots hurt me. I mean, boy, he's throwing body shots that are brutal. Celestino Cabellero. You know, it's hard to score against a guy throwing 111 punches around. By the way, he comes from Cologne, Panama, Jim. And I've been in Panama to judge numerous fights. I'm telling you, Cologne is the toughest place to come from. You can come from Panama City or Cologne, but Cologne is much tougher. 3-0, Celestino Cabellero, based on clean, effective punching.
When Yordan finishes his attempted offensive assaults, he will often fall onto Cabellero and try to clinch him. Cabellero, generally, although not there, generally does a good job of keeping his arms out of the clinch so that he can throw the first punch whenever they're separated.
Yes. But actually, I'm going to be honest with you. I think Yordan is fighting a very good fight. I mean, it's just not too much more he can do, except I would like to see a little footwork, which you never do see. But he's so predictable, but he's doing everything right as far as the delivery of his punches.
Is there a chance that he wears Cabellero down?
It could possibly be, but I just don't think. I think it'll be the other way around because Cabellero is just so relaxed in there.
This is a tough fight for a 22-year-old who has had all of 17 professional fights.
But he's doing a pretty good job, though.
I don't know. He's getting beaten up, Emmanuel.
Yeah, he's still
taking a terrible beating. He still has a chance because he's strong and he's tough, but
he is getting ripped to the body. I mean, I've seldom seen a fighter in the first 4 rounds take as many body shots as Cabellero has landed on Yordan. But Yordan is determined and tough. Keeps coming. What do you do about that?
It's a machine.
Keep moving. Keep moving.
Our interpreter in Yordan's corner, Hengi Chiak, who speaks the Indonesian language which Yordan uses, would have reported to you anything that was said in that corner. But they had nothing to say between rounds.
No, I mean, this guy's just too busy for him. And he's mixing up his punches so well that you don't know where he's going to come from with a punch, whether it's on the top, on the side, or uppercut. You know, just too much of everything right now.
And round 4 was typical of the CompuBox numbers that we've seen in the fight so far. Cabellero was 28 out of 102. Yordan was 8 out of 30. The same connect percentage. It's just that Caballero's throwing more than 3 times as many punches. Yordan won't quit, and that's a good left hook. Just misses with the right hand. Lands with the left hook, but not a big impact. Caballero looks at me as if to say, lands? Come on, what are you talking about?
He's so relaxed and he rolls. He can feel punches coming. And I guess that's from experience.
Is it fair to say his offense is his defense?
Yes. Keeps you very busy.
Look at the body shots.
As soon as Yordan starts getting momentum going, he just takes control right away. Comes right back.
Big left hook by Yordan.
But watch right away. Caballero's going to come right back and take control. He's not going to go off on a defensive mode.
One punch at a time for Yordan. Caballero goes back to buggy whipping the body punches.
A lot of the Latin fighters like that, they do that call it, they just whack. I call it whacking. They just gradually wear you down by whacking into the body. More like the Kid Gavilan Bolo punch type delivery.
Not Puerto Rican fighters. They deliver the classic body shot.
They're much more short, accurate, pinpoint punches. But more Panamanian type fighters.
Well, we all know how great Duran was. Caballero said that he more admired the style of Ismael Laguna.
Yeah, well, his style is similar. He's not as flashy. Laguna was just amazing to watch in a short and brilliant career. But you can see from the activity and the number of punches coming in from seemingly from all angles why he admired Laguna.
Right. Duran had more of a classical style.
Well, Ismael Laguna had a dancing rhythm. That's what a lot of he liked. He said the way he moved and danced. But Duran was just an effective puncher and a very good technical fighter. To me, I thought he was the best. The Duran.
Well, many think that Duran was, if not the best lightweight of all time, certainly one of the best lightweights who ever fought in the ring.
Seven punches, all from different angles.
And all that Yordan has to respond with are a few Hail Marys.
Yordan is officially listed in some ring records as 24. He says that that's the result of having lied about his age as an amateur. He's really only 22. A question for their corner: how much longer do they want him to take this kind of beating? Here's the body punching, Emmanuel. Throughout the fight, Caballero has been able to do this with impunity. Now, Yordan has come back with some vicious counter left hooks, but by and large, Caballero's been able to do what he wants to Yordan's ribcage. And this, I don't know how you feel, Emmanuel. 11 or 12 rounds of this for a 22-year-old fighter?
I don't care how old you are, you're not going to be able to take those kind of punches. And in addition to that, he's mixing up punches between the gloves and outside the gloves. Physically and mentally, he's going to break this kid down. It's just too much to keep up with the variety of punches that's coming at him.
Seconds out.
Once you get past round 6, do you consider throwing in the towel?
Absolutely, Jim. You stole the words out of my mouth. I was thinking along the same lines. Yordan remains dangerous. He's a strong young kid, but he's getting schooled and spanked here.
You don't want all his confidence to go away in one night. Again, in round 5, Caballero 38 out of 118 by CompuBox count. Yordan 13 out of 30. Great connect percentage. but Cabellero threw nearly 4 times as many punches.
If this fight continues the way it's going right now, and I was in Yordan's corner, another 2 or 3 rounds, I would seriously consider stopping the fight.
Well, so that's the subject right now, unless Yordan is able to change the fight with 1 or 2 big punches, and that's still what he's trying to do.
Cabellero has had 35 fights, and he's been stopped once.
He sure took the left hook pretty well up there. Yeah, that was a flush left hook landed well by Yordan. Cabellero just blinked, that's all. I don't know if I've ever seen a fighter who is so comfortable just pecking and making contact upstairs and then hammering to the body as though he's Jack Dempsey.
Watch your elbow.
A very, very relaxed fighter. You know, he uses that left shoulder beautiful, as I said in the beginning. And he can sense punches for the most part when the punches are coming at him. But the most important thing is he will never, never let Yordan take control over the fight.
In other words, pure competitive instinct.
Yes.
And Yordan's record doesn't indicate that he's a serious knockout puncher. He's had 12 stoppages in his 17 fights. I think the adults in his corner have to start thinking about how much more punishment they want him to take.
And they may have been encouraged by the 1 big left hook earlier in the round. But we shall see.
Hold, let him go.
Blood coming from the nose of Daud Yordan, 2nd round in a row.
Stop. I don't want to see elbow. No push, let's go. Come on, let's go.
So Asamenius has twice in this round warned Cabellero for being too free with his hands and elbows.
Close in. Breathe. Just keep hitting, you're going to break it in.
Check out the punch zone graphic and you will see that Celestino Cabellero, nicknamed Pelenchin, has landed 117 body punches. Yordan has landed, you don't see the graphic, but Yordan has landed 20 body punches. This is a hammering to the body. Forget the 70 punches Cabellero has landed upstairs. The big damage is the 117 punches downstairs. I'm so fascinated, Emmanuel, by Caballero's eye contact.
Unbelievable, and so relaxed, too.
He blinks about as often as a local news anchor, which means not at all.
And a lot of things he don't really do properly. Right there, the right hand, he kind of slaps his right hand, he whacks him, he kind of clubs with his left hook. But he does such a variety of things so much, and he keeps probing with that left hand all the time.
And you saw the graphic. Harold, how do you have it through 6?
Okay, Jim, 6-0, 60-53, Celestino Cabellero. Jim, I got to tell you something. This guy never throws 1 punch at a time. Never saw anything like this. 5-6 punch combinations all the time. I mean, if you stopped it, when he starts that left jab combination he throws, if you stop to count the punches, he probably throws 6 punches before he pulls his left arm back. I mean, the guy's incredible on throwing volume of punches. Anyway, 6-0 Cabellero. Yordan doing his best work with that sweeping hook that half the time lands behind Caballero's head. But be as it may, 6-0 Cabellero.
Harold Letterman, who's seen everybody for the last 40 years, just said, "I've never seen anything like it." Are you exaggerating, Harold?
Well, I tell you, he's about as good a combination puncher as you're going to see, and that's for sure.
No hold.
Yordan short with the left hook that time. Gets in a body shot. Mentioned that Yordan is the son of a rubber tree farmer, and that he is one of 4 brothers in the family who have fought or are fighting now. The brothers, the 2 of them who were in the room with us yesterday, said fighting is very hard. Rubber tree farming is much, much harder. But right hand by Yordan this time. But remember what Emmanuel Stewart has told you. Cabellero will never allow the kid to take control of the fight.
No, Yordan is fighting a very tough. He's doing everything, I think, the best that he can. He punches good, still has firepower on his punches when he delivers them, too. It's not like he's slowed down, but it's just that Cabellero is just too busy. That's the only thing.
Caballero's talking to him in there. Cabellero has begun chatting with Yordan while throwing all these punches. I don't know if that's part of what's prompting Yordan to fire back.
Very good, very good. Very good.
Yordan has a very brave corner.
Well, his brother is his trainer. They're usually brave.
At the end, at the end of the round, just be careful. Slow down. Reach out. He's the champion, but be careful.
Easy with the water, easy. Okay. Get the mouthpiece.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a round. Just be active and keep doing it.
Come on, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Get that towel.
Average punches per round through 7 by CompuBox count. Caballero 29 out of 106. And Yordan 8 out of 31. Round after round, pretty much the same thing. Yordan had for him what I thought was his best round in the last round, landing a few more punches than has been the case before. The Caballero just keeps rolling, throwing more than 100 punches in every round, landing many of them, particularly to the body.
We once saw a one-sided fight, Jim, if you recall, in which the fighter who was losing landed a body shot in the last round and won the fight. But
Mickey Ward against Alfonso Sanchez.
Yep.
After losing 9 straight rounds.
Yes, and us sitting here saying, why don't they stop the fight?
Yes.
But this is the fight. You can't stop it because at this stage, because Yordan still comes back with an explosive punch every once in a while, and he lands enough of them.
Yeah, but
just enough to keep him in the fight where his corner's going to hesitate and not stop the fight.
But history shows us that physically, one of the worst things that can happen to a boxer is that he gets hammered for 12 rounds, particularly to the body, by a guy who makes solid contact and doesn't quite have the power to knock him out. The knockout is often more merciful than the constant punishment over the course of 12 rounds.
And that pretty much describes this fight, because even though Cabellero is landing all of the punches, he's not really properly punching, where he's a hard, devastating puncher. He just more, like I said, just whacks you and clubs you and slaps you, and then he'll tighten up every once in a while. But, you know, you say, well, if I got Yordan, he can still land one of those power shots and still maybe knock him out.
And when the scenario that we have described is coupled with a family member who trains the fighter who's getting beaten up, some very bad things have happened in the past. It's a forbidding formula. Let's hope that Yordan emerges from this all well and good.
when a fighter is undefeated, there's a tendency to believe that he can't be defeated, and to maybe hang in there a little bit too long with him.
But you know, even though Yordan is, being beaten, he's never been seriously hurt in the fight still. Even with the knockdown was a result of, him being out of position. He got caught with a clean punch. But he's never been seriously staggered or hurt in the fight yet.
I don't think I thought that Levander Johnson was ever really hurt against Jesus Chavez.
Yeah,
and he died that night. Now, I'm not saying that it could happen here.
No, yeah, but he's been taking so many beatings like that, too. That was his style.
He was a veteran who had taken that kind of beating before. That's correct. Good point. Tune in April 13th for the next Real Sports. This special boxing edition investigates the passing of former champions Alexis Arguello, Arturo Gatti, and Vernon Forrest, who all died violent, premature deaths within months of one another last year. May 1, it's the HBO pay-per-view mega fight between Floyd Mayweather and Shane Mosley. It's a fascinating matchup. Don't miss it. Mosley was originally intended to have fought this man, Andre Berto, on January 30. That fight went by the wayside when Berto left his training camp in mid-January for entirely understandable reasons to go to his familial home of Haiti and help with earthquake relief. Tonight, he fights both in honor of Haiti's earthquake victims and to raise money for continuing relief efforts there. And looking around the arena, I would have to say, not enough of it, unfortunately.
Watch out, guy. Let's go. Watch out.
In case you just joined us, round 9 of schedule 12, first fight of a 2-fight card. Celestino Cabellero in the blue trunks is a Panamanian 33-year-old veteran who's held 2 title belts in the 122-pound weight class and has moved up to 126. This is his first fight at the new weight level against prospect Daud Yordan of Indonesia. And up to this point in the fight, Yordan is taking a fearsome beating from Cabellero, who has shown skill, awareness, sophistication, all the things that Yordan doesn't quite yet have. Third fight past 8 rounds ever for Yordan. Cabellero has been past 10 up to 12 many times.
I think that unless Yordan does something spectacular in the rest of this round, somebody in the commission or the referee should take it upon themselves to stop this slaughter. It's not entertaining. It's just one man getting beaten up by another and the other not having much of a response to it.
Can you think of a single boxing commission in the United States where you think that would happen, Larry?
Well, I know that in New Jersey, we used to see the commissioner who had been a
Larry Hazard.
Larry Hazard.
Yeah, Larry Hazard often suggests to order.
He actually got up in the ring himself sometimes to stop the fight for the ref. I think
it's just common sense.
And then eventually he was deposed and is no longer in charge of the New Jersey
Well,
State Athletic Commission.
that was just normal state politics. But I always admired for Hazard for being willing to take that responsibility on his shoulders if the referee wouldn't.
I honestly have to tell you, if somebody from this state commission were to step up and do something that intelligent, I'd fall off my chair. Unfortunately, and I'm not necessarily ripping Florida, because as I said, I'm not sure there's a single commission where it would happen now.
His glove needs to be left glove.
The tape is coming up. The glove, you gotta take the left glove. Yeah. Ace.
What? It's the 10th round now.
Look the doctor in.
You see okay? Can you see all right?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
Hey, fine.
What? How do you define all right?
Let me see the glove.
When they say, is he all right, the response is, he's all right.
It's the 10th round now.
Give me the glove.
If the risk versus reward equation seems illogical for Yordan, this corner seems to believe otherwise. Harold, how do you have it through 9?
Okay, Jim, 90-80, 9 rounds to nothing, Celestino, Cabellero. Jim, I tell you, the only difficulty he'd score in this fight is you got to wonder if you should give him more 10-8 rounds. I mean, he gets a 10-8 round, certainly in round 2, where he scored a knockdown, but he's winning these rounds so big, you wonder how you can logically score a 10-9, because he's really winning by a wide margin with all the clean, effective punching he's doing. By the way, the one-punch knockout, I know you mentioned Alfonso Sanchez was a great come-from-behind one-punch knockout. I always go back to Arturo Gatti and Wilson Rodriguez. To me, that was the classic come-from-behind one-punch knockout. 9-0, Caballero.
Larry, he's looking for money fights against stars in the featherweight division. Who's going to want to fight him after this?
Well, given this kind of performance, showing that he is an elite fighter, yeah, I can think that there are fighters out there who think that they can fight him, and I think we should do everything possible to make them fight somebody this good.
Now hold. Let's go. Punch out, guys. Let's go.
I mean, you know, we're seeing a one-sided fight here, but it's not like he's fighting a top opponent.
Correct. Not a guy with vast experience or a championship level record.
Yeah, it was giving him something to think about what's coming back. This is becoming cruel and unnecessary.
Well, you know, it was one fight I was remembered in Atlantic City where I think it was Prince Charles Williams was fighting Murky Soso, and both of them was taking so much excessive punishment that the commissioner had to just stop the fight, period. Because he said it was just too inhuman.
Yeah, well, Larry Hazard was one of a kind, guys. You know, we just don't have another Larry Hazard in the sport of boxing right now. That's my belief.
Watch the water. Thank you.
They're tired. 2 more. Don't clinch, don't clinch. Okay, don't clinch. Just hit it. Use a...
Earlier we showed you Andre Berto, who is the marquee fighter in the main event. Here's the guy he's fighting, Carlos Quintana, warming up with his trainer, Jose Bonilla. And Quintana, as you can see, is a skilled southpaw. Numbers among his victories, a win over Paul Williams, coveted by many other fighters for sure. But in the rematch, he was knocked out in 1 round by Paul Williams. Perhaps the more instrumental fight in determining what happens tonight is Miguel Cotto's win over Quintana, in which he sledgehammered Quintana to the body, and Quintana retired after 5 rounds. That's probably something like what Berto will hope to do tonight. round 11 of a scheduled 12. You know, the first 6 rounds were so easy, Emmanuel. I wonder if Cabellero lost some of his concentration. He's allowed himself to be hit a little bit more in the second half of the fight.
Yeah, he's so relaxed now. He's looking out in the crowd. He's talking. He's totally relaxed.
I think he got bored.
I think that's a better way to describe it.
I agree. And that's
the word here.
Chatting with his opponent, milking for the camera.
He's singing to himself now.
And we've gotten carried away with talking about the Larry Hazard greatness as a commissioner and as a referee.
Well, you have to talk about something when you see the same thing for 12 rounds. You know, this is very similar to Pacquiao-Clottey in the sense that we're seeing the same thing round after round after round. Good left hook by Yordan. Cabellero clowning a little bit.
But even though Cabellero is, as I still say, whacking a lot, that's still what I say he's doing. He reminds me of another Panamanian fight, I think, is Silvio Pedrosa, I think, was very much like this. It was a body puncher that really wore you out with whacking you with shots.
Until beaten by Barry McGuigan in Belfast. On a great, great night for Irish boxing. The late Eusebio Pedrosa.
Cabellero seems to be a very mature young guy. I'm sure he's not really getting a great thrill out of this. But this is his job. His job is to hurt the other guy, to hit the other guy, and keep doing it.
It's amazing to watch all the things that Cabellero will do to entertain himself during the course of this. Moments ago, he literally turned to the photographers on the ring apron and laughed and joked with them. Yordan lands another left to the chin of Cabellero, but even though Yordan against Guerrero and again here tonight looks like a fighter with speed and power, he has not been able to hurt Cabellero, and that goes to Emmanuel's point about how relaxed the Panamanian fighter is.
Yes, he is. He rolls, he can feel punches, he rolls and twists and turns. And you can't land, especially if you land one punch, you're not going to land 2 on him.
CompuBox numbers, one-sided as you might expect.
Okay, here's the last round. Hang on. You can take it. Go. Go for the head.
Okay, give it to him.
Go for the head.
Okay, give him the mouth. Let's go.
Final round.
Last round.
Some guy with a commissioner's badge, you know, and I just had a vent a little bit. I went over to a commissioner and I said, this is a massacre. Why are you letting this go on? And he looked at me and smiled and walked away.
I saw it. That's what happens. Larry, all I can say is we love your passion.
Hey, let's go. Punch out. Let's go.
My passion is for a fair fight.
Don't hold, guys. Don't hold. Let's go. Let him go. Punch out. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
And for the future of Daud Yordan, who's got a chance to be a really good fighter.
I don't know if he'll ever be a good fighter after this.
That's the problem, and that's what I began suggesting back in the 4th or 5th round. You can see it coming.
Hey, go.
Cabellero was off balance for a moment. That has the crowd tremendously excited. Brings a big burst of energy from Yordan.
No, he was up to it. He's just so relaxed right now, and that's what he's doing, leaning like that. Very hard to get a good clean punch if he's leaning back in that position.
Getting his legs back.
Yep.
Got him now. Now he's going to punish Yordan for what he did. This is the competitive fury you talked about, Emmanuel.
Yep, he's not going to let him down.
He was momentarily out of control of the fight, and now he will punish Yordan for that.
Instead of saying, out my head, I can just coast and rip through the fight, he's going to come back and try to punish him now. But that happens when you get carried away, throwing punches, no punches returning. Anyone can get caught with a shot like that because you're too relaxed. You're not expecting nothing back.
Well, he's been allowing his concentration to wander for several rounds. Clowning, mugging, etc. So Yordan had the big moment in the 12th. And this, in the minds of people in Yordan's corner, will serve as justification for having gone through the entire 12 rounds.
Deceiving themselves.
They'll go back to Indonesia and say, hey, he almost knocked him out in the 12th round.
Well, he is a courageous kid. You have to give him credit for toughing this one out. Too brave for his own good.
Closing seconds of the fight. One more hard body shot from Cabellero, and now we're done. Daud Yordan is bloodied and beaten. Scores will be a formality unless something unbelievably bizarre is going on. There's Harold Letterman's scorecard. Gave the 12th round to Yordan. And the courtesy round for Yordan makes it 119-108.
A lot of courage.
Judges for the fight in Florida. One title fight for Thomas Nardone. Two title fights for Jed O'Connor, including scoring Sergio Martinez versus Kermit Cintron a draw. Martinez easily won the fight. And Rocky Young. 116-112 for Cintron over Angulo. Good score. Kermit Cintron fought a brilliant fight against Alfredo Angulo. Counterpunched him all night long. CompuBox note. Celestino Caballero's 1,248 total punches thrown tonight. The number 3 all-time punch count for featherweight fights. Only twice in CompuBox's now 26-year history has a featherweight thrown more punches in a fight than Cabellero did right here.
I'm not different. I'm my time at 122 pounds.
Final CompuBox numbers. Cabellero 325 out of 1,248. And Yordan 105 out of 379. It was like that virtually every round. Let's go to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, we go to the scorecards. Rocky Young scores it, 119-108. Jed O'Connor, 120-107. And Thomas Nardone, 118-108, all to the winner by unanimous decision. Celestino Pelichin Caballero.
So Cabellero states his entry into the featherweight division. A division loaded with talent, including young stars like Juan Manuel Lopez, Yuri Orcas Gamboa. Veteran stars like Rafael Marquez and Israel Vasquez, who spent most of their careers at 122, could certainly fight at 126 if they ever tire of fighting each other. And there are other big-name opponents to be found in that division. Let's see where Cabellero goes from here. Coming up next, our main event, Andre Berto against Carlos Quintana. But first, let's take an in-depth look at our upcoming boxing schedule. It's a special edition of World Championship Boxing on April 17. 2 fights from 2 countries and 4 all-action fighters. First up, from Montreal, Canada, fan favorite Lucien Boutet takes on knockout artist Edison Miranda. Then from Atlantic City, middleweight champion Kelly Pavlik returns to the ring against the slick Sergio Martinez, coming off his Fight of the Year candidacy against Paul Williams. On April 24, Boxing After Dark is back in a big way. Heavyweight Chris the Nightmare Arreola continues his push for another title shot. His opponent, former light heavyweight and cruiserweight champion Tomas Adamek. Also that night, Mexican knockout star Alfredo Angulo takes on battle-tested Joel Julio. On May 1, HBO pay-per-view presents 2 of the best fighters of their generation. After a brief retirement, Floyd Mayweather dismantled the great Juan Manuel Marquez.
For the return to the sport. 21 months off, and he's better than ever.
Now he takes on the biggest challenge of his career.
There's a big left hook. Shane Mosley has annihilated Antonio Margarito.
It will have been 16 months since Shane Mosley's destruction of Antonio Margarito. Now the future Hall of Famer has the fight he's been waiting for. A great run of fights keeps rolling with World Championship Boxing on May 8th as Paul the Punisher Williams squares off against the very tough Kermit Cintron. And on May 15th, Boxing After Dark returns to Madison Square Garden with Amir Khan taking on Brooklyn's own Paulie Malignaggi in a 140-pound title fight. The action in New York City continues June 5 as World Championship Boxing makes its debut at the new Yankee Stadium. Yuri Foreman and Miguel Cotto will show down in a Bronx title fight. It's an exciting few months in the ring on HBO's World Championship Boxing, Boxing After Dark, and pay-per-view. Go to HBO.com for more details. Welcome back now live at